Roll call, Mrs. Luck, please.
Dr. Cordolino?
Here.
Mr. Daughtry?
Here.
Mrs. Spano?
Here.
Dr. Modrak?
Here.
Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Mr. Rappaport?
Here.
Ms. Zuckerman?
Here.
Mr. Palma?
Here.
Mr. Grau?
Here.
Mr. Arena?
Here.
Mr. Rosiski?
Here. Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sunshine Law, Mrs.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provision of the Act, the Montville Township Board of Education provided a public notice of this meeting, which included the time, date, and location that was posted at the Montville Township Municipal Building, all Montville Public Schools, the Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, the district website, and advertised in the Daily Record, the board's official newspaper, on June 23, 2021.
Thank you. Philip, why don't you start us tonight, okay? Thank you.
To get into some student activities, the school broadly posted their day show performance on November
Bring
26th.
the mic a little closer, okay?
Get to some, now I got myself stuttering. To get into some student activities, the school abroad posted their day show performance on November 22nd during lunch and at night on November 23rd. Also, the Key Club hosted a very successful canned food drive just before our Thanksgiving recess, taking place with an early dismissal on November 24th and schools closed on November 25th and 26th. The senior banquet took place this Friday, December 3rd at El Tuapano at 6 p.m. I'm sure all the seniors enjoyed the opportunity to have a night full of great music, dancing, and food. In some current news, the Key Club will begin hosting a toy drive where students are encouraged to donate toys for children who are less fortunate for the holiday season. On Wednesday, December 8th, the high school symphonic band, concert choir, and chamber choir are performing in the high school auditorium at 7 p.m. And Thursday, December 9th, the orchestra will also perform at 7 p.m. in the auditorium. The snow dates for these events are December 10th and December 13th, respectively. Lastly, the week of December 20th is Winter Spirit Week, where students will participate in themed days correlating to the holiday season. Thursday, December 23rd is an early dismissal and our Winter Pep Rally. During our Winter Pep Rally, we'll have a highly anticipated student-teacher basketball game, as well as other fun activities.
Thank you, Bill. Dan?
So winter sports are getting underway with most teams beginning practices, scrimmages, and some starting their real competitions already. The boys basketball season is getting underway next Saturday afternoon. They open their season against Bernards at home. They had their first scrimmage today and look forward to a strong season. The girls basketball season is also starting up as they had their first scrimmage today in Warren Hills. They open their season against Pope John next Friday at 7 p.m. And they are led by the lone senior Alissa and will look to add on success from the last 2 years. The bowling team is already off to a great start this year and is looking to build off of a historic season each of the past 3 years. They've already taken the crown in the annual NJAC tournament and won the tournament for the second straight year. Their next match will be Thursday versus Morris County Tech. The hockey team has gotten off to a slow start to their season, but will look to right the ship with 2 games coming up on Thursday and Saturday this week. The group will be led this year by senior defensemen Trey Bressage and Chase Eunice. The wrestling team is off and running with their vintage early workouts and after-school practices. The hard-working group is also following the footsteps of state sectional champion teams in the past couple of years. They open up with a scrimmage next Tuesday versus Compton Lakes. The winter track has begun practices and their early season grind. They'll travel to Drew University next Thursday for one of their first invitationals this season. The swim team opened up with a great first meet this past Friday. They saw first place finishes from varsity captain Sam Edelman and varsity swimmer Victoria Zawin. A great start for the swimming Stangs. And finally, the competition cheer team opened up with an outstanding start to their season as they placed first in their division and were overall grand champions of the high school session at the Star Athletics competition. So we wish all of our teams the best of luck this winter season.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan or Philip? What's 11 days from today, Dan?
December 18th.
It's the first basketball game, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, I just want to remember, I know you're playing.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Renee gave out a schedule for all of the winter activities, and hopefully, if you can make it, please come out and support our students. I know they would appreciate it as a coach. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Superintendent's report?
Okay, I just wanted to call people's attention to item K9 on the agenda. That has to do with our request for proposal for legal services. Probably not great planning on our part. We had initially had those proposals due 2 days before Thanksgiving, and as it turned out, we did have some firms that were interested and missed the deadline. Since we have not opened any of those proposals, and the board will actually not be addressing that issue until January when we've reorganized for the new year. There is an agenda item on the agenda this evening to extend the deadline for submission of the RFPs to December 20th. That should allow any other firms that are interested to prepare and submit a proposal to us. I'm now going to turn things over to Dr. Shorter to make some remarks with regard to the annual self-assessment with regard to hip grading that the district is required to do each year.
Thanks, Renee. As Renee mentioned, as part of the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act, all districts have to have individual schools perform a self-assessment, and that's usually done through the school safety teams. And that happens on an annual basis, and every year we share a little bit about the summary of that self-assessment with the board. The board generally approves that report, and then we do submit those results to the state, and then the state of New Jersey Department of Education issues grades for each school district and each school within the Bill of Rights. So I'm just going to make a few brief statements about the summary report. You may notice that if you look back, the scores are relatively the same that we've had the past few years, even though last year was not a normal year. If you recall, we had abbreviated school days, we had abbreviated school weeks for a large part of the year. So there were certain areas that we would normally perform in the self-assessment that we didn't, particularly at Lazar, which I'll highlight for you as I move through the summary. As I mentioned, the scores range from 76 to 77. The max score that each school can get is 78. So we have 3 of our schools fall 1 point below that maximum. The high school, Cedar Hill and Woodmont, with a 77. We have 3 schools fall at a 76, which is 2 points below the max, and that's Hilldale, Valley View, and William Mason. So those scores are consistent with scores that we've had in the past. They didn't really change too much. One thing you may note, Lazar did drop to a 71 this year, and that makes a lot of sense considering the year we have and the complexities that Lazar dealt with last year with their complicated schedule, again with the abbreviated days. Most of the reduction in points came from the fact that they couldn't have the number of meetings that were required, that they would normally have to cover a lot of these self-assessment areas, really just because of lack of time. So certain things like identifying patterns of harassment, intimidation, bullying violation, there weren't many to really assess, so they didn't really go through that process. Also, the professional development piece, where the school safety teams would be provided professional development in the area of harassment, intimidation, bullying. That time really didn't allow for a lot of that training to go on at the middle school. Another area was the week of respect that we have in early October every year. If you recall last fall, that was a little bit of a dicey time, dealing with the pandemic. So not all of the activities that they normally plan for the week of respect took place there. And then finally, a couple other areas that were procedural, things like communicating to multiple sets of parents, within a specific timeline. There was one incident in the breakthrough reports that we have where it was a divorced family and only one parent got notified, so they deducted points from the self-assessment for that. But all in all, you know, the lower score that Lazar received in the self-assessment didn't have any impact on their ability to fulfill the obligations of the HIV law. So if the board approves this assessment tonight, then I'll go ahead and submit this to the DOE and then grades will be issued, which should reflect similar to the self-assessment.
Thank you, Dr. Shorter. Any questions or patients? Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Dr.
No,
Roper?
that concludes my report.
Okay. We have some good news items, and I'd like to thank all of the schools for their tremendous donation of food, or whether it was the Interfaith Pantry, or whether it was for the Montville Township Club. The students and their parents really deserve a special thanks because the food that was collected was really needed and it went to good causes for the holidays. So we thank them. Okay, we have committee reports, I believe. One second. First one, I lost my place. First one is facilities. Just bear with me 1 second. What's in it? Facilities.
Finance and facilities.
The what?
Finance and facilities.
Finance and facilities. Karen?
No report.
Okay. Curriculum and instruction. I lost that sheet, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes, so there was a meeting on December 2nd, and we talked about a number of things. We talked about the ESSER funding that we received. We talked about the Montville High School Program of Studies, that making sure that we have our classes in order and making sure that we have enough classes to go around. We talked about the Lazar master schedule timeline update. So Lazar is going to be moving up their timeline so that the kids will know whether or not they're getting the classes that they asked for. And this will allow the schedule to be, it's going to be more or less on the same timeline as the high school. So that's going to help out. It's also going to help out with staffing needs, so that everyone will know how much staffing is required during the budget process. It's just something that probably might be long overdue. But, okay, we talked about the Start Strong assessment and as well as some other personal updates to an international business practice class. And that was about it.
Thank you, Dave. Police, policy and personnel, Mrs. Fennel.
No report.
Communications, Michelle.
No report.
School safety, Mike.
Yes, we met earlier today, and we had an update from Officer McGowan about the implementation of Alissa's law, which is the implementation of alert systems in all of our schools. It's similar to fire alarm system, but they're blue, and these alerts are tied directly to the Montville Police Department. So if anything happens in your schools, the alarm can get pulled, and the notifications will go out to our police department, to the administration, to Officer McGowan, and also text alerts will go out to all the other administrators and all the other schools to let them know something's happening, and also to the police officers who are out on patrol. So the response time can be fast if anything happens. The initial test of the system was done over the summer, and then again in the September-October timeframe. And they want to test it once a year, and hopefully it can be done once a year in September. That way, both administration can be refreshed on how the process works, and make sure that all the alerts are responded to appropriately. Also, outside our school buildings are blue lights, primarily by the main entrances of each school. And if the blue lights are strobing, then it indicates that the alert system has been triggered. So this is an indicator, if anybody's approaching the building, if they see that, they know that something's happening within that building. Also, in Lazar, in the middle of September, an SLE03 officer, Steve Gorst, started at Lazar. He's been there since the middle of September, and he has been working with the administration there and roaming the halls of Lazar, and doing a great job there. It was interesting to note that Officer Gorse was expert in tactical operations, and he ran a unit in the state of New Jersey for 15 years before retiring and eventually ending up here. So he has a lot of great experience that he can bring to the school. Also, the LEAD program is continuing in the elementary schools. Officer McGowan will be conducting additional programs probably in the February-March timeframe. Also, he is also running the Save the Keys program. Most of the seniors, the Save the Keys program is you have to take the program in order to be able to drive on campus. Most of the seniors have taken it. A majority of the juniors have taken it, but he also wants to encourage the sophomores, more sophomores, to take the program, because as the sophomores begin to pass their exams, getting the permits, they can then have that information and that safety training, so that they're ready to come on campus when they're licensed. We've also talked about some IT issues, and Austin Thomas gave us an update on various IT issues. Primarily, he wants to continue the rollout of multi-factor authentication, and that is, in addition to the password, an alert gets sent to your smartphone, just like we have with our banks, and a code is provided there to make sure that the person logging in is the person who's supposed to be logging in. This is standard security for IT systems, so he wants to get that rolled out. It's partially rolled out now, and he's in the middle of rolling out to administrators, and then all the staff and teachers will have it by hopefully early spring, and hopefully that will help continue to improve our IT security. He's also working with the curriculum to make sure that it's updated with the latest information about best practices on handling IT issues, security, phishing, password strength, things like that. And this is something that he would like to make sure it's taught to the students. And this is probably directed to all the students and as well as teachers. So the students are aware of what multi-factor authentication is, how to best practices on the computers, how to maintain a safe password, a good strong password, things like that, and also to identify any phishing attacks that may come in. So that is both for the students and additional training for staff as needed. And finally, some security hardware has finally come in. Obviously, it's part of the supply chain issues that everyone's having. But there's parking lot cameras now going up in the high school parking lot to keep a better eye on what's happening out there. It's also door badge security that's being installed, and other sensors at various entrances. And hopefully by the end of the school year, all of that will be fully installed and operational. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Rappaport. Delegate to the school board, Sharon?
Thanks, Charlie. On November 20th, New Jersey school boards conducted their semi-annual delegate assembly, and this is an opportunity for every school district to send a representative to the delegate assembly to hear reports and to also vote on various items. So we heard a report from the President Association, a report from the Executive Director. We also heard reports from various committees, and usually during the delegate assembly, there are resolutions that get voted on that various school boards submit. During this delegate assembly, there were no resolutions. However, there were policies that are reviewed and sometimes edited for to modernize them and to bring them up to date. And there were those that were voted on and passed. Without the resolution portion, it was a fairly quick delegate assembly. And we traveled to Trenton, I did, but it was conducted virtually or hybrid if any delegates wanted to attend in person.
That's it, Karen?
That's it.
Thank you. Mr. O'Brien, Morris County?
The Morris County School Boards had a hybrid meeting on the 18th of November, and it was a very good meeting, very comprehensive. It started with a legislative report as usual, a presentation by Charlene Peterson. They reviewed also the responsibilities of board members in the superintendent's evaluation, but the bulk of the meeting was devoted to budget, and they had a complete review, very extensive, of the budget process, and what the budget process should be, and the steps that the board should go through in the budget process. I found it very helpful as a review, which I'm a big proponent of reviews in all places. But the most important thing that they emphasized was the goals of the Board of Education. And that is the first thing, to set the priorities, to set the goals in budget making for the next week. So I think it was a very good meeting. I think it was one of the most helpful meetings recently. And that's it.
Education Services, Mr. Rappaport?
We meet tomorrow night.
That's a Zoom meeting?
Yes.
And Drug awareness, Mr. O'Connell?
Meeting tomorrow night.
Athletic, Montville Athletics?
The Montville Athletic Associate boosters met a week ago, Wednesday, the 1st. Due to a technological glitch, which they cannot actually figure out, the Zoom link for the meeting was encrypted with passwords, or with a password, so I couldn't get into the meeting. I guess other people couldn't get into it. I think they'll probably solve that by next week.
Well, thank you, Mike. Maybe they'll reschedule or you know.
Well, they'll meet next month anyway.
Liaison, Cedar Hill, Karen?
No report.
No report. Valley View, Joe?
They have a meeting in January on the 11th.
Mason, Christine?
Yes, Charlie. I was unable to attend. I had another board meeting, but Allie, the president, was so kind. I asked her to do a little summary for me, so she emailed it to me. William Mason was excited to see the return of an in-person outdoor book fair in the last week of October. It was a huge success, resulting in additional funding from the HSA, as well as access to a lot of new books for the school. We discussed discussed how excited we were to have Halloween celebrations return and that everyone was looking forward to the winter parties. It was announced and discussed that the president of the executive board, Ollie Monahan, would be stepping down from the position at the end of the school year, as planned, and that the board was looking for someone immediately to work with her for the remainder of the school year and take over the position in the fall. Our biggest discussion was about the HSA's purchase of a custom William Mason Cougar mascot. The mascot costume would be worn by staff and parents at various school events and celebrations. We are so excited to be moving forward with the project and hope to reveal the Cougar in the spring. And their next meeting is scheduled for Monday, January 24th at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Christine. Woodmont,
If memory serves me, we have a meeting next Wednesday.
Lazar,
I believe we have a meeting in early January.
High School.
Next meeting is January 24th.
Thank you, Michelle. Public participation is an opportunity for the public to ask questions, make comments on any of the items on the agenda. If anyone would like to have questions or comments, please come forward. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve items I to M. Remember, we have two addendums, one on the rejection of bids and to rebid them, and also to add a staff appointment for the high school math department, because the present math teacher is resigning as of December 23rd. So motion I to M with the two agendas.
So moved. Second.
You have that, Virginia? Any questions on I? J? K? L? M? Seeing none? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. O'Brien?
Aye.
Mr. Palma?
Yes.
Dr. Cordolino?
Yes.
Mr. Daughtry?
Yes.
Mrs. Fano?
Yes, and abstain on M1.
Dr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mr. Rappaport?
Yes.
Ms. Zuckerman?
Yes.
Mr. Grau?
Yes. There's no need to have a closed session. Item Q, any old business report at this time? Seeing none. Section R, general board comments and new business. We will have our next meeting on December 21st. And the location of that will be either, that's going to be a town hall, it's going to be here at town hall, one of them. Okay?
Comment?
Comment?
I would just like to say,
Can you turn your microphone off?
I'm sorry. I'd just like to say that Mr. Rappaport's report tonight, in light of everything that's going on, I think that was the best report possible in memory. Okay? It was a great report to be up on things that are going on with the situations that are happening. I'm really glad that the light system was installed. It was good.
Thanks.
I just want to confirm that the December 21st meeting is at the Township Municipal Building.
Okay. Section S, public participation. If any member of the public would like to address the board, please come forward. Give your comments, questions. Seeing none. A roll call vote, Mrs. Slump. Excuse me. Seeing none, a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
There's nothing else, right? Motion by Mr. O'Brien. Second by Modrak. All in favor?
Aye.
To those who can't make the 21st meeting, happy holidays. Scott, good seeing you again.